on the air. This is how arrogant the government is in California. This is how bad it is when one party controls any government of either party. I was embarrassing them on the air for weeks, and still nothing happened. Until the governor himself intervened and said, you know, this is getting embarrassing. And of course, it was a bunch of bullshit. None of it ever needed to happen. It wasn't even the one that bothered me the most. The one that bothered me the most was my garage door. When I moved into this house, it had a 3 garage door. Okay, it doesn't fit 3 cars. I don't know what these cars are. It fits 3 motorcycles. Okay, like I don't live in a fucking mansion. I don't want to. I live alone, okay? I've got a wonderful house, happy to have it. No one would mistake it for, like, you know, lifestyles of the rich and famous. Okay, so I wanted to change my 3-car garage, wink, wink, to what it should be, a 2-car garage. This took 3 inspections. Inspections? For I'm just changing my garage. Why do you have to be involved in my life when I'm changing my garage?
Because
if it falls down on my head, that's my fault for doing it with a bad contract.
Bill Maher and Adam Carolla recently discussed California's one-party political system in a sharp, critical segment. They shared their views on the state's challenges, debated possible solutions, and didn't hold back on commentary. The conversation was lively and opinionated, so if you enjoy bold political discussions, make sure to subscribe and let's get into it.
And all of the above. I had to deal with all of it. And I would always say, look, if you're living in Santa Monica and you have rent control apartment, good, vote the way you vote, I get it. But buy a piece of land, get a home, go to the city, try to pull a permit, and then tell me how you feel about this government. Because I think it's too fucking big. And you go, what? We get rent control. Yeah, you get rent control. Go buy a piece of property, try to do a remod, go talk to the city, and then tell me how you feel.
Because you're doing this to your home.
Right, and I've done it.
You were wiped out.
No, I wasn't wiped out. My home is intact in Malibu. Everything around it is burned.
Bill Maher, Mel Gibson, and Adam Carolla all criticized the heavy bureaucracy around home building in California. Carolla argues that when people highlight the slow, costly permit process, the usual reply is rent control, which doesn't solve the real issue. Not everyone wants to rent, and rent control doesn't create new homes or speed up construction. Endless rules and delays, he says, are driving up costs and worsening the housing shortage. Until the red tape is reduced, the crisis will likely continue.
My business was doing it to other people's homes.
Why did your home survive?
God loves me. You should know that.
No, really? Everything around you burned?
I would say 80% of what was around me burned. And
did you take precautions that others didn't? Did you like
wear a condom?
Wetting the roof?
No, I didn't. I
changed my roof since last year. I have a whole different roof.
I noticed
and I have a thing that goes in the pool where you
pump it.
You shoot the pool up on the roof.
No, I did nothing, and just complete luck of the draw. Like the Hood, the SS Hood, which was a British ship, sunk. Blown up by the Bismarck in World War II, and 1,800 sailors went into the ground and 6 popped up. Went into the drink, and 6 sort of...
Bill Maher raises a sincere question. Has all the red tape in California actually reduced wildfires? After years of permits and regulations, the results seem minimal. Fires still rage, homes are lost, and communities keep rebuilding. His frustration isn't about opposing safety rules, it's about inefficiency. When bureaucracy grows but outcomes don't improve, he argues it's fair to ask whether the system meant to solve the problem has become part of it.
Are you fucking nuts? And I realized she didn't know what was going on. Then you talked about your garage door. But the point is you got turned a little bit with your solar shack. And I said it a million times, live in rent control, fine. Go get your own home and try to pull a permit. You'll start thinking more like me. and you tried to get your solar shack permit, and that took 2 years.
Jane Fonda's club Random Appearance shows how celebrities often avoid the red tape ordinary people face. With money and status smoothing obstacles, permits and fees become minor hassles. That distance can shape how they talk about policies many Americans struggle with daily.
On the air. This is how arrogant the government is in California. This is how bad it is when one party controls any government of either party. I was embarrassing them on the air for weeks, and still nothing happened. Until the governor himself intervened and said, you know, this is getting embarrassing. And of course, it was a bunch of bullshit. None of it ever needed to happen. It wasn't even the one that bothered me the most. The one that bothered me the most was my garage door. When I moved into this house, it had a...
Bill Maher said it took him 2 years to get a simple roof permit. If someone with fame, resources, and even connections to Gavin Newsom faced that delay, it raises questions about the system's efficiency. For many homeowners in California, long wait times can mean higher costs and prolonged uncertainty, highlighting concerns about how slow bureaucracy can affect everyday projects.
Garage door. Okay, it doesn't fit 3 cars. I don't know what these cars are. It fits 3 motorcycles. Okay, like I don't live in a fucking mansion. I don't want to. I live alone, okay? I've got a wonderful house, happy to have it. No one would mistake it for, like, you know, lifestyles of the rich and famous. Okay. So I wanted to change my 3-car garage, wink, wink, to what it should be, a 2-car garage. This took 3 inspections. Inspections? For I'm just changing my garage. Why do you have to be involved in my life when I'm changing my garage?
Because
if it falls down on my head, that's my fault for doing it with a bad contract.
Bill Maher even had to deal with heavy paperwork just to replace a garage door, highlighting what critics call excessive red tape in California. Supporters of this view, including Adam Carolla, argue that basic home repairs shouldn't require long permits, fees, or inspections. They say such rules can raise costs and frustrate homeowners, turning simple maintenance into slow, bureaucratic processes that feel out of proportion to the task.
Inauguration. And Trump says, well, we're going to go in and we're going to change the permitting laws. Now, he is obviously a guy who just pulls things out of his ass. I get the impetus to do this. Like, why wouldn't you want to do that? He's the guy who sees a problem anywhere and he goes, I can fix that. But is there any jurisdiction for the president to override local permitting laws?
I think I don't know about precedent because no one cared and it never existed. And if you're building a log cabin in 1871, there's no court case on that. I think he can because I've heard something about it. But the point...
Bill Maher joked that even Donald Trump might cut through the red tape, highlighting how frustrating the bureaucracy has become. Maher isn't endorsing him and says he'd still vote Democrat, but the remark shows how broken the system feels. When even longtime liberals start wishing for anyone to streamline rules, it signals deep public frustration with slow, unresponsive government processes.
Metaphor for government and the size of government. When you can't do what you want to do on your land that you own and that you pay taxes on, and you need to ask fucking permission from them to do stuff on your land, then we have gone across the Rubicon. We have crossed the Rubicon. And the fact that I bought a warehouse in Glendale, California. And
I completely agree with Adam Carolla. When you need government permission just to make basic changes to your own property, something has gone seriously wrong. Ownership starts to feel like a conditional privilege, not a right. Carolla isn't against safety, he's calling for common sense. Minor fixes shouldn't require months of permits and fees. Overregulation erodes personal freedom and makes property ownership hollow, and that should concern everyone.
Pull a permit, and I went in to the planning commission of the city of Glendale, and I said, I want to pull a permit to do some building on my warehouse. And the 25-year-old chick behind the counter goes, what are you going to do with that warehouse? that I bought, by the way. And I said, I'm going to put some cars in there. And she goes, they might let you do that. And I thought, they might let me do that with my property.
It's infuriating.
It's insane, and it's
infuriating.
Huge, and it's a California thing, and unfortunately it's a blue thing, and it's kind of a left thing.
It is.
And and they're encroaching on everything.
I don't get why homeowners can't make minor, harmless changes to property they legally own and pay taxes on. These aren't risky projects, just small improvements. Yet endless permits, inspections, and fees make simple work a nightmare. When laws exist to generate revenue instead of protect people, the system punishes responsibility and discourages upkeep. It's clear who benefits, and it isn't ordinary homeowners.
Rules.
I tell this to Gavin every time I talk to him.
Just knock it the fuck off. Just leave people alone.
And he says we're doing it, but I don't see it, to be honest.
Well, also,
he says he's doing it when I confront him with it, but I don't see it.
No, because they're there to make rules. That's why they got into power. They like it.
They like it.
What I want...
That's it. They like it.
My favorite answer from a politician is, I don't know. I'm not in charge. Ask your dad. I don't run your house.
Maher and Carolla agree. California's crushing bureaucracy is a democratic problem. Endless permits, inspections, and delays sap energy and frustrate residents. Maher called out Governor Newsom, saying he talks about cutting red tape, but nothing changes. Permits still take years, costs rise, and Californians suffer. Words without action mean nothing, and the system remains broken.